Okay, students, now I will discuss some parts of speech or grammatical structure in the same passage. First of all, we have very simple words, glory and hope is the title. So, glory and hope. This is the title. Glory, as you know, this is an abstract noun having no physical existence, so that is why glory and hope both are abstract nouns. But whether it is countable or uncountable. So, glory is what we call uncountable, and hope can be countable and uncountable. It is countable in the sense that, for example, we say that I have too many hopes. So we can make plural of hopes by putting inflection s. So that is why it is abstract noun but countable noun, and glory is abstract noun but not countable. Glory and hope, if it is titled, so definitely it would work as a noun phrase. Next, we have distinguished. Yes, distinguished, as you know, that is an adjective that has been used over here as a modifier. We call it modifier. This distinguished is also known as modifier because it modified this guest noun. So this is what we call noun phrase. It works as a noun phrase. The next word we have human disaster. Now see human being. Human is working as an adjective over here and disaster as a noun. It tells us about this noun disaster. So human is working as an adjective over here. Now the next we have that lasted. Now you see that refers to disaster. So that lasted too long. This is what we call it adjective clause, because this that is working as relative pronoun. It relates this disaster noun, and this disaster is working as an antecedent. We call it antecedent or referent because it is being referred by this relative pronoun that. So disaster is noun, but disaster is working as an antecedent or referent because that is being referred by that, and that is what we call relative pronoun. Now you see this whole clause, we call it adjective clause, we call it also relative clause, and we also call it defining clause because it defines the word disaster. Okay, now too long, lasted. Now long tells us about lasted. Lasted is verb, so long becomes what? Long becomes adverb because it tells us about verb lasted. And to tells us about long. So any word which tells us about another adverb, that is also adverb. I hope that you have understood. South Africa must produce. South Africa must produce. Now you see we have must in modal auxiliary. It is used for what? Obligation. It is also sometimes used for suggestion. But mostly this is an emphatic form. It emphasizes, it stress. Must and have to. When we say must produce or have to produce, so it becomes an obligation. Understand? Now you see must is modal auxiliary. It is modal auxiliary. We call it modal auxiliary because it changes its modes. That is why we call it modal auxiliary. Okay. For example, the next we have produced an actual South African reality. An actual South African reality. Now you see we have this one noun. These are working as adjective because an is article but actual is adjective. South African is also working as an adjective. So these, I mean to say article is also basically an adjective, but later on it was separated and it was given a separate name as article. Basically n is as an adjective, but we call it article. Now you see, these are the adjectives that modify this one word, reality, which is a noun. The next we have all this. All tells us about this. This, what we call this is a pronoun, we call it demonstrative pronoun. And all tells us about this pronoun, so all is working as an adjective over here. We all, both, you know, both is also working as a pronoun over here because we don't have any noun close to both, so that is why this both is working as a pronoun. If we say both students, so then it would become an adjective, but here it works as a pronoun. Now ourselves is reflexive pronoun. Reflexive pronoun which reflect the action of the subject. For example, I say I killed myself, I blame myself. So myself reflect the action upon the subject I, so we call it reflexive pronoun. I have no hesitation. I have no hesitation. Now you see we have no, it tells us about hesitation. Hesitation is noun. So no is what we call adjective. This is adjective of a quantity. Adjective of quantity. Saying that each. Now you see from here we have means clause which starts from there. Saying that. Now you see it is a clause which starts with the conjunction that, or it is also known as a what we call subordinate conjunction, so that each one of us, this is from here starts a noun clause, so it becomes a noun clause. Understand? That could be relative pronoun, that could be demonstrative pronoun. Okay, that could simply work as a conjunction subtitle as well. So that each one, now you see each tells us about one. One is not adjective. For example, we say one marker. Now you see one is working as an adjective because it modified, tells us about the noun marker. But here we don't have any noun word here, so one in itself it works as a pronoun. This works as a pronoun and each tells us about pronouns. So any word which tells us about pronoun or noun we call it adjective. So each is adjective, each one, that is adjective. We call it distributive adjective. We call it a distributive adjective. Now, of us is as intimately. As tells us about intimately. Intimately is adverb. Ly. This is adverb and as tells us about adverb intimately. So as is also an adverb. Any word which tells us about adverb, that is also adverb. Attached to the soil. To the soil once again. This is prepositional phrase. Okay, and here it was also as an adverb phrase because it shows a place. So it is basically, it starts with a preposition here with a noun, so this prepositional phrase, but it also works as an adverb place because it shows place. I hope that you have understood this grammatical structure. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.